Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in this video I'll be doing my review of WWE Payback 2023. The first match of the night was Becky Lynch defeating Trish Stratus inside a steel cage. For me, this wasn't that great. I've heard a lot of positive reviews about this online. I just didn't feel that way. I felt like Becky Lynch kept unnecessarily hitting the cage, even though she could have just sprung off the ropes during an Irish whip. And yeah, it just, for me, the highlight of the match, as seen in the picture on the side, was when Trish was hanging off the cage by her feet and legs. Very precarious, like, I can imagine how risky that was and how many times they've had to try and, well, how many times they probably not practiced it, but just put herself in that position, make sure she doesn't slip. But obviously, she can be very sweaty in them situations. So, yeah, a pretty cool moment there for these two, and it transitioned really well into a superplex from the top of the cage. After the match, Zoe Stark came in and kind of Trish pushed her around a bit. She seems to have turned face. I thought a turn might happen, but I thought it was going to be, roles were going to be reversed, and I thought Trish might be turned on by Zoe Stark. But yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about Trish sticking around a bit longer. I thought she would be done after SummerSlam. Obviously, then this match got pushed back. I thought this was going to be her last match, kind of either for a while or for good. But she's clearly going to go into a program with Zoe Stark, which is good and bad. Like, it always is a case of like when there's legends around that current superstars aren't getting on TV. You know, we haven't seen people like Xia Li, Aaliyah, just to name a couple, on TV a long time. And yeah, it's like even Shayna Baszler isn't getting a lot of TV time, whereas Trish is getting it multiple times during the night on Raw. But, you know, Trish is really good, and hopefully this leads to a good send-off for her, maybe at Survivor Series. But yeah, it just, I don't know, I was kind of hoping Trish would be done after this. Not that I don't like Trish, I would just like to see something different. But yeah, for Becky, I feel like after a confrontation backstage with Tiffany Stratton, it seems like she's going to go down to NXT for a bit, which is an interesting move. Especially she's not won that title. It's like the only championship she's not won. Obviously she's not won Money in the Bank either, but championship wise, the NXT women's title is the only one she's not won. So I'm not sure whether her going over Stratton is necessarily a good thing, because obviously people can be like, oh, she's burying younger talent and whatever, but you know, it almost feels like Tiffany Stratton would actually benefit from the loss. But I'm not sure which way it will go, to be fair. Like, it'd be good for Tiffany Stratton to get the win over Becky, but it will also do good for Becky to get the win over Stratton. Just, it might help Stratton in the long term. But they could also have a series of matches, I guess. So, but either way, yeah, I feel like this wasn't the best way to start the pay-per-view, but like things didn't massively improve from this point. Like, it probably was one of the better matches on the show, but the show, in my opinion, was very lackluster. So. But yeah, it's not a great match for me. Didn't enjoy it all that much. Cool spot, but that was about it, really. Now we had LA Knight defeat The Miz with John Cena as the special guest referee. So yeah, before the match, then John Cena came out and said he was going to make himself referee, and Miz came out and he had a whole back and forth segment. It's an interesting way to do things. Like, it was very random, and I found myself getting a bit distracted just watching John in case something happened. But in fairness, John was a good special guest referee, similar to Jeff Jarrett last year at SummerSlam, when you didn't actually notice Cena was the referee most of the time, only if you pointed out to yourself. Kind of thing. You didn't really get involved much other than pulling them away during stomps in the corner, but that was about it, really. I mean, like, John Cena didn't like attack somebody or cost anyone the match. It was pretty much all straight up, and I think it was just a way to get Cena on the show more. It was an interesting match to do it in my opinion, but it didn't really affect the match that much. The match itself was like really good. Both got even amount of offense in. It was booked great. Miz didn't really do much heel tactics other than grabbing the rope during a pin. But then, you know, if you think about John Cena and Miz have had such a long feud that he would expect Miz to try and cheat. Therefore, he had an extra eye on Miz when he was trying to go for pins near the ropes. That kind of harkened back to their past feuds. But yeah, like, pretty much that was I said, I don't know what else to say other than it was actually a really good match, probably one of the better matches on the card, like that I enjoyed anyway. I had an investment in it with wanting LA Knight to win. And as for LA Knight going forward, I'd love to see him have a feud with Cena, but I don't feel like they're going to go down that way because of the show of respect after the match. But I feel like if John Cena could put LA Knight over in a match, it would be really good for LA Knight. And yeah, other than that, I just want LA Knight to be US champion. I feel like he could elevate the championship. I hate where the United States Championship is at the minute, which I'll talk about later. But I feel like LA Knight could breathe some fresh air into the United States Championship if given the opportunity to hold it. After that, we had Rey Mysterio successfully defend the United States Championship against Austin Theory. This was really bad, in my opinion. Like, I don't think this match could even main event at Raw, let alone, well, SmackDown. Let alone, like, be on a pay-per-view. Like, this wasn't really enjoyable. Like, yeah, I found myself getting really distracted during the match. I was hoping that my disinterest might be turned around by a really good match. Yeah, that just wasn't the case. Like, I actually preferred their match on SmackDown when Rey won the championship. But yeah, it just really wasn't all that good. Like, there was no real highlights for me. It was just a really average match that, like I said, I don't know if it's hard to say anything positive. Like, it's such a shame that the US title is at such a low point, in my opinion. Like, there's loads of superstars on SmackDown that could elevate this title. LA Knight, as I've said, Bobby Lashley, Grayson Waller, just to name a few. And yeah, this just wasn't the best showing for the United States Championship. It should be so much, well, feel so much more important, and it's not. And like I've said multiple times on the channel, giving the titles to Rey Mysterio was a huge mistake. I was hoping we were going to get some kind of turn from Escobar, but that clearly isn't the case. Like, the LWO are a super babyface team at the minute. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, I feel sorry for the state of the US title, like its legacy and everything like that, rather than wrestlers, because we know that this isn't a rivalry people are particularly interested in. You know, I just think even the company they haven't said, but there was reports that the company felt like Theory's reign had gone stale, so why would they give him another match? And yeah, I feel like giving it Rey Mysterio is just a desperate move, and it just hasn't worked, in my opinion. Like, it needs to go on somebody on SmackDown who has the potential of being up into the main event scene, but needs that bit of time being a mid-card champion, kind of get to that point. I said LA Knight comes to mind, Grayson Waller, you know, guys that could really elevate the championship, and it just isn't the case. So yeah, for me, very disappointing match, and you know, I'm really not interested in Rey Mysterio being the United States champion, unfortunately. Next up, the Judgment Day defeated Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a street fight to become the new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. This match had everything a street fight should. Like, it was really fun to watch, and like, you know, we had big table spots, multiple weapons were around. Kevin Owens even bled. I can't believe there was blood in this match. Like, the last thing I expected out of this pay-per-view was a bit of blood, though they were very, very quick to clean it up again. But it was nice to see a bit of claret on the pay-per-view, in my opinion, someone who very much likes violence. And yeah, I think for me, this was match of the night. I thought this, I don't know, it was just fun to watch, and it kind of delivered where it should have. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I've got all positives with this one. There was an awesome table spot between Kevin Owens and Dominic Mysterio, though Kevin Owens definitely just broke his toxic. Oh, no, didn't. Not his toxic. Kevin Owens broke his coccyx because his ass / lower back just hit the concrete floor. It was it was awful. JD McDonough is still trying to pick up his spine in the arena, because that thing went miles off after that table spot, like powerbomb that he took. Like, announce tables don't want to break anymore. They're like going on strike, and it is looking even more brutal to go through the announce table or just be hit on the announce table. And yeah, for me, the right guys won. I feel like Kevin Owens, as I've said on my weekly reviews, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have had the tag titles hostage, and we need to get back to like having tag teams win tag team titles. Like, I forever saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as two single stars, and yeah, I think having Balor and Priest at the titles, I'm a massive fan of the Judgment Day, but I don't want them to have the tag titles for long. Like, let's have a decent team win them. I'd like to see them feud with Alpha Academy and then have them win the titles, which then shoots them into the more like not SmackDown, tag team style, and just let's bring tag teams and have them go for the tag titles. You know, like that's all I want is decent, not even decent, but good tag teams that I know WWE have got. Have them fight for the tag titles. It's quite simple, but having 2 single stars get the win here, I know that some people would also see Balor and Priest as single stars, but they have been part of the Judgment Day for a long time now, though the tag team element I do see as Dominic and Priest, not Balor and Priest, but it makes sense with the whole storyline of them, you know, being at odds with each other. And I don't feel like that's going to stop, by the way. I feel like that's probably going to carry on, but I'm hoping that JD Madonna gets added to the group now that he helped Priest not lose the match. I did find it funny, and like my brother did point it out, that it did take a 4 or 5 on 2 advantage for Judgment Day to get the win, but that is what Judgment Day are all about. They're always saying how they will do anything to win. Therefore, it makes perfect sense for them to be 5-2 in advantage and get the win. But yes, for me overall, I've enjoyed this match, really fun. And I think next I'd quite like to see them feud with Lashley and the Profits, just so they're on TV more. Obviously, them holding the SmackDown tag team titles, they can be on all 3 shows. They can be on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, which I know a lot of people won't be happy about. I know my brother is not very happy about it, but I like it because I like the Judgment Day. So, anyway, yeah, match of the night for me, really fun match. Following that, we had the Grayson Waller effect with his special guest Cody Rhodes. Cody, for me, didn't really say much. He kind of just said he had an announcement and did his whole good old babyface stuff that he always says. And yeah, then it was announced that Jey Uso is now on Raw, even though he quit WWE. He didn't say he quit SmackDown, he said he quit WWE. But anyway, he's back on, he's back on Raw now. My brother popped when Jey Uso came out, like fully popped. I wasn't as excited. I am very curious and interested and don't see the point here. Like, I must be the only... I know that, like, The Miz and LA Knight had their match and they're both on Raw and SmackDown each, and, you know, the draft isn't properly been put into things because like, just staying on their shows, for example, Judgment Day are, like, the best example of that. However, on paper, you see Rollins, Rhodes, and Uso are all on Raw, and they're the 3 people, in my opinion, who are going to take the title off Roman at WrestleMania. So, what is the point in this? What's the point in having this whole bloodline thing happen? You spend months and months and months and months clinging on to this bloodline storyline, thinking that this is going to be like cinema every week, and it has been cinema every week. They could be carrying this on, and now Jey Uso's on a completely separate show. Like, what's the point in this? I hated the Jimmy Uso stuff. You know, go watch the weekly episode, like the weekly retrospective that I released yesterday. I explain in a lot of ranting and detailing. I hated the Jimmy Uso stuff on SmackDown. This doesn't help. I don't see the point in Jey being on Raw. Like, I don't know what he's going to do there. Like, the only thing I can think of is that he's going to take the Intercontinental title off Gunther when he passes the record of the Hong Kong match, which he'll probably do on Monday, or today even, loading it. But yeah, I don't see the point. I'm not very excited. Hopefully they change my mind and do something really cool with Jey. But in my opinion, this really doesn't make any sense. But I am curious. Next up, we had Rhea Ripley successfully defending the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. This was a bang average match in my opinion. Like, I expected a lot more from Rodriguez as far as being a threat to the championship, and it just wasn't the case. Like, Ripley's reign never felt like it was going to end here, which is really disappointing. I feel like a lot of people put a lot of investment in this being the match where Rhea could lose the championship, and it just didn't go that way at all. Rhea controlled the match for the most part. And yeah, it just, like, I don't know, like, Rhea targeted her knee, which was the best way to do things, you know, because she's been out for so long. Raquel was so easily distracted by Dominic Mysterio. She didn't need to bring him into the ring and do a move on him. He could have just ignored him on the outside, and it would have made this so much better, because everyone at this point should be so used to Dominic getting involved, whereas it shouldn't have the effect it has been since he joined the Judgment Day. But it did, and yeah, it just... Anyway, that did cost her the match at the end. Rhea hit the Riptide and got the pin. But yeah, it was just like, I expected so much more out of this one. I feel like Rhea's title, as I said, was never in jeopardy at any point during this match. And I'd like to see them go at it again, but in a match that is stipulated, maybe at Fastlane. Like, I have a book that I have, and it's full of my favorite matches. Rhea versus Raquel Gonzalez is in there twice, and they had like a no DQ match, and they had a last woman standing match in NXT. Something like that between these two would be really good, and it would put Rhea's title in jeopardy, especially like a last woman standing. So I know that they've now done it because they did it in NXT, but fuck it, do it again, because it was really, really fun. It was a really great match. Raquel even got the win in that one, so you know, I feel like that's a better way to put it, is having these two in a stipulated match. Then maybe Rhea's championship would be more in jeopardy. But other than that, if they're not going to have this be played over, run back at Fastlane, I'd probably assume that Rhea's next feud is going to be against Liv Morgan, because she took her out, injuring her arm. But yeah, other than Liv, I can't think of anyone else on Raw who could take the title off Rhea and it be a legit threat to the championship. And yeah, it's a shame because like there's everyone on SmackDown. You've got Bianca, Charlotte, Io, Bayley, all these people, Asuka on SmackDown, who can all win the championship, and on Raw there really isn't that many. And you think about with the draft, Raw got an absolute ton of people compared to SmackDown, and yet SmackDown seems to have the bigger roster somehow. I don't know how that's come about, but I've noticed it over the last few months, thinking about who people on Raw or champions on Raw are going to feud with. And yeah, it's just not great. But I mean, personally, as a fan of the Judgment Day, I am very happy that Rhea still got the championship, don't get me wrong. I just want more competitive matches for Rhea to make the championship reign feel more legit and feel more just bigger and earned, and just really have a really cool reign pretty much. But yeah, it's a kind of disappointing match, didn't live up to my expectations. And yeah, hopefully they run it back with a stipulation. And finally, in the main event, Seth Rollins successfully defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. This was really disappointing. Like, even the crowd wasn't that into it. Like, I don't remember at all hearing the crowd during this match. And yeah, it was just, I wasn't really interested either. I found myself getting, again, very distracted during the match. I was very tired as well by the time it went on. And yeah, it was just, this whole back injury thing is such a random thing. Like, they mentioned it over and over and over again in the country. They could not stop talking about it. But yeah, if Seth Rollins has had this since 2019, then why is it suddenly an issue now? Because it's part of the storyline, he then had to sell it, which means that now every match he is in, he has to sell a back injury until it's not okay anymore. Like, I don't know, this felt really random and a really desperate storyline to make this feel like a main event match, and it didn't need it. This is Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura, two of probably the best male superstars in WWE. They didn't need like an injury angle or anything like that. They could have just been two superstars, they both want the title, they're both gonna have a brilliant match, and that could have been it. And like, you see it in AEW all the time, people just have matches because they want to have a match, or because it's gonna be a good match. And like, WWE have to have a reason for the match. Sometimes it's just as simple as, I want the title, okay, let's have a match. You know, it's as simple as that. And they could have put on a banger, but they had to keep playing this bloody back injury that the commentators wouldn't shut up about. And yeah, it's, as I said, it wasn't great. There wasn't a real highlight of the match, really. Like, not that I can think off the top of my head now, and when I was watching it back, there was no real highlight of the match, unfortunately. And hey, I'm not sure where Nakamura goes from here, and I have no idea who's going to challenge Seth next, unless they run this back, which I hope they don't. Like, again, we could have done with almost an Extreme Rules next, because a lot of these matches could do with rematches, but stipulated. Raquel and Rhea, Rollins and Nakamura, like maybe even Mysterio and somebody for the US title. Stipulations like are very rare now. I know we had a few fight here, but on pay-per-view they're very rare. And yeah, I just want them back. Come back. They're just good. And you know, I don't know. This is just, it's disappointing because it's the main event, supposed to be the top of the night. I just weren't that good. And yeah, said the only person really on Raw who could challenge Rollins next is Cody, and it's like, no, we don't want Cody anywhere near it. They tease it almost after every pay-per-view. They'll tease Cody versus Rollins. On Raw tonight, Rollins will probably come out, and then Cody will interrupt, or Cody will come out and Rollins will interrupt, and they'll tease it again, and then they won't do it, and it's just, I don't know. I think like it was a disappointing end to a very lackluster show, and yeah, it just didn't feel. I know it's a B pay-per-view, but it didn't feel big at all. I've heard a lot of positive reviews about this, and I couldn't disagree more. Like after the absolutely brilliant run of pay-per-views we've had between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, I was hoping they were going to try and carry it on, and they have just shat the bed with it. Like this was, for me, not very good. You cannot tell me that this was the highest people of them or superstars of the month getting opportunities on pay-per-view here. Like even Gunther versus Gable, even though they're doing it on Raw tonight, could have made this show better. It simply but yeah, as I said, disappointing match. So those are my mostly negative thoughts and reviews on WWE Payback 2023. As you can see in the corner here, I got full marks for this pay-per-view. I guessed every my predictions. I got every single one right, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's the first time it's happened this year. My WWE predictions are not that good. You know, I'm a good 17 off so far. There are 41 matches correct out of 58. I know it's more than half, but it could be better as well. But as I said in the last part, very lackluster pay-per-view. Really worried about Fastlane being exactly the same thing, and then hopefully Survivor Series will pick it up again. But I don't know. I have my reservations about it, and obviously as Fastlane doesn't exactly have the best history. I know I can't think of any great Fastlane pay-per-views, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess. And yeah, as I said, any feedback you got for me in the comments, anything you enjoyed about the pay-per-view, put in the comments as well. What match you enjoyed, what match, you know, what moment you thought was good, anything like that. Like anything about the channel, anything about the pay-per-view, please do put in the comments. And yes, I will see you tomorrow for my review for All Out. And yeah, I'll thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you guys.